Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 3 versus 3 on Teufelsmoor, and I'm going to be playing with the 119th Tank Regiment. I wanted to share this game with you guys today because this was a great game from my point of view, and I also felt that it could be quite instructive. So let's just have a quick look at what we're getting down here. At the start we're going for these BRM1s. I'm actually becoming quite a big fan of the BRM1s because exceptional optics on a vehicle is really nice. I've got an Mi-24K moving ahead to see if it can intercept any enemy transports. And I've also got a Spetsnaz that forward deployed that would also be able to assist with enemy infantry. Further back we have the Igla, we have the T-80UD, there's a T-80 BVK, Strela 10Ms, and the BMP 1P with Modus Rauki. You can see at the start the F-15 came in and it strafed my Mi-24K. I actually ended up leaving it on 1 health. So what I'm going to do to avoid the F-15 being able to target that again is I'm actually going to land it. Now this is something you can do even before you see an enemy fighter come in. If you're worried about them being hit by enemy aircraft, you can just land them. Just bear in mind that if it is on the ground, it is vulnerable to enemy artillery, and also obviously tanks and whatever else fires at ground targets. I'm going to be trying to do the same here, going for the Apache. Unfortunately no luck on my end either, and the aircraft here having a very poor way out. Going to get taken down by a Stinger. Goodbye Su-27. So unfortunate for me because he brought in his Eagle and got away with it. I brought in the Su-27, tried to take a cheeky pot shot at one of his helicopters, and yeah, it didn't work out. So that was unfortunate. But basically the Apache there is quite a high value target, so that's why I committed to the Su-27 to try and kill that. Either way, I haven't come up against much resistance on my side just yet, so I'm wondering a little bit about what's going on. Thankfully I do have the exceptional recon in position, and I guess it gives me a chance to point out that having adequate recon throughout the game is super important. It's probably one of the biggest things that will help you win games, is having adequate recon so that you can make the correct decisions based on what you see. And in this case, you know, I've got the exceptional optics here and I'm not seeing anything. So I'm slowly creeping my way forwards. And I'm going to be moving up this BRM down this right-hand road. This right side of the map is absolutely gorgeous, by the way, when you zoom in and follow the roads. With the water either side and the roads moving through in between. Very cool. Yeah, this BRM's not spotting anything. So just continuing to move that up, move it back into cover. T-80UD and T-80 BVK are ready to cover it if needs be. And meanwhile, I'm also trying to move up units through these buildings, and you'll see that I'm moving my BMP-1P over to the left because I was worried about this avenue of attack here. Usually this area near the church is quite contested on Teufelsmoor. So since I didn't put anything here, I was a bit worried that all of his troops would be coming through on that side. But then I noticed my BRM spotting a bunch of helicopters over on the right-hand side. And this must have been what he was planning, my opponent here today. So, I managed to see it coming pretty early on. I don't think he knew that I saw it because the BRM is in cover. And so what I'm going to be doing is getting my Mi-24K fixed up. I've got an Mi-24P coming up, and I've got the Iglas. Now, you might be wondering, why aren't you just bringing in AA? Well, one Igla is going to be enough to force them to land, and then the Mi-24Ps can just clean them up on the ground. So this is a really sort of potent combination that you can use to take out transport helicopter spam like this. Transport helicopters are mostly countered by your own attack helicopters. So MiG-29 is going to come in there, start putting the pressure on. We've got the Strela 10M zooming over from the left-hand side. The Mi-24Ps here just in time to start annihilating aerial rifles. The first Black Hawk didn't make it to the ground. The second two land and get instantly destroyed. And the aerial rifles, well, let's just say they're having a bad time amongst all of these wrecks here. Yeah, poor chaps got absolutely obliterated on that right-hand side, and we managed to prevent the flanking attempt from my opponent. Now, with that shown, it gives me an idea that I can probably push up more aggressively, because that's quite a lot of points. You know, it's like over 300 points there in troops and helicopters. So now I'm going to have an advantage on the ground moving forwards, and I can bring the Mi-24s to give us a hand. So I got the T-80 BVK moving up to take out the M3A1 Bradley. Unfortunately, I did lose my BRM, but I am going to be quickly replacing that. The Sapari RPO are coming up to clear the close-range engagements with infantry, and the T-80s will continue to engage stuff at range. So you can see the M1A1 here, ready and waiting. T-80 BVK going to be having a go. Unfortunately, T-80 BVK taking a free hit there. Abrams, they have very nice stabilizer, 65% there, you can see, since he has the 1 veterancy. So I'm going to have to smoke off the T-80 BVK and move it back. But I still have the T-80 UD in position, and that has line of sight. If it can get another shot on, we're going to take it down to 2 health. 1 more and we'll get the job done. Should try and retreat or smoke at that point, but maybe didn't notice it. And my T-80 UD finishes the job. So one thing I have done with the 119th is I've made it so that basically my infantry tab is mostly close range infantry that deals with enemy infantry. So Sapari RPO, Spetsnaz, normal Sapari, and then I've got 1 card of Monostrelki BMP just to provide the RPGs to engage APCs at close range. T-80 UD here doing a really good job of taking out that M3A1 on the left hand side there with its reflex anti-tank missile. And then we had the Mi-24P manage to snipe the M3A1 Bradley on the right hand side with the Kokon. So we're managing to break down his recon, and in doing so we are blinding him to what's coming next, and we're also of course doing damage to the overall amount of points that he has up his sleeve. So at this point, right, we haven't lost really anything. The Mi-24K survived the initial strafe. Yes, I lost the Su-27. That was actually a pretty big loss at the beginning of the game. But ultimately, I'm building up a nice advantage here, because every time we're popping one of those Bradleys, that's another like 100 points or so in our favour. We killed the M1A1 Abrams, we killed the 3 Blackhawks with arrow rifles on the right hand side, and in my head I'm keeping track of that. Now that's not something you're going to be able to do yourself too easily, especially if you're new to the game, but ultimately you want to try and get to that point when you're becoming a more experienced player in WARNO. And what I mean is keeping track of your kills, because in doing so you know how much of an advantage you have. So in this case, sending this T-80 UD forwards very aggressively like this would generally be a bad idea, and it is quite overexposed to potential air attack. But I know that with the 3rd US, the A-10s are probably going to be the main threat for the T-80 UD, and it's still going to have smoke. And then the 8th, maybe it can use F-16s to kill the T-80, but ultimately we have plenty of AA nearby, and I can take down an aircraft if needs be. The other thing that I was doing was keeping my Mi-24s purposefully near my AA, because I knew that he might dive it with the Eagle, and indeed he tries to do that, and it gets shot down thanks to my 2 Strellas and 3 Iglas here. We've made up in like a nice trap around the Mi-24K. T-80 UD taking out another Abrams very quickly indeed. T-80 UDs are so much better than M1A1s. If you're playing with the 3rd, always save for the M1A1HAs. Don't rely on normal M1A1s, because T-80 UDs will absolutely tear them to pieces. Usually M1A1s are really good, and they can beat most Soviet divisions, but the 119th is an exception, because the T-80 UD has 21 front armor and explosive reactive armor, which gives it 11 health total. So yeah, it's not ideal. Now this was a mistake on my part, letting my artillery get, or letting my supply get hit by artillery. That was unnecessary. I did intend to move that at the time, but I just didn't get around to it because I got distracted. Poor Strela 10M just getting picked off by the M2A2 there. That's just a straight up mistake. Currently I'm just waiting for the T80UDs to be fixed up so that we can make another play. So everything you do in the 119th is all about playing around your big tanks. And that's why, as I was mentioning earlier, using majority close range infantry in the infantry tab to supplement the heavy tanks is the way that I like to build this deck. So T80UD moving up, taking the shot at the M2A2, unfortunately not able to get the kill there, and now the T80UD in a pretty bad position. The TOW 2 does a lot of damage, and this M2A2 actually has a TOW 2A which has 25 penetration, so that's really, really rough. The other thing is it's because the TOW 2A is technically a tandem warhead, so it does an extra plus, or has an extra +1 penetration against explosive reactive armed units, which is a cool feature actually to the game. But yeah, the M2A2 there punishing my use of the T80UD, and this is only an 80-point unit and it's defeating my 330-point unit, so yeah, their tandem, nothing to be scoffed at. Regardless, the T80UD, still superior Soviet engineering, will be able to move forwards and defeat these Abrams. And we're also looking to take out this unit that's hidden in the tree line here. So PVAD's going to get spotted, taken out. 2 more T80Us are arriving. My T80UD here. Very late on its deployment of smoke. That happened because it was routing all the way through these buildings, and then when it stopped it finally smoked itself off. Either way, T80Us getting the better of the M1A1 Abrams, and honestly this is how you break the smoke meta. Now in this case I feel like my opponent wasn't really on the ball with the smoke, but if you are in a situation where you're dueling with someone and when they fire at you and get low, you smoke, and whenever you fire at them and they get low, they smoke, it can be quite frustrating. The way to deal with it is just overwhelming firepower, making sure that you attack with like 2 to 3 or even 4 tanks all at once and just take all of those shots, and you'll just like blitz a tank before they can even react. And yeah, it's just about microing the tanks to target something specific, particularly if you're up, like you have multiple tanks against their multiple tanks. Just make sure you're always focusing down one tank at a time so that the chances of them smoking is a lot lower. Iglas are now going to have to move up. My BRM's getting really far up. The T80U is quite vulnerable on this right hand side, I realise, as it sort of moves up over this causeway. There's not really anywhere for it to go. So yeah, AA is going to have to move up. Strela 10M's moving up. I brought a replacement. The Spetsnaz GRU are arriving to provide continuous cover. I still have the Mi-24K providing recon here the whole time as well, so that was nice. And the T80UD's finally getting fixed up on the backside. Now it's time for the juice. The Su-24Ms with their 2 laser guided bombs. These are 1,500 kilogram laser guided bombs, and there is a triple Abrams here. I managed to take out 2 of them. The third survives. One of my Su-24s goes down, but ultimately that is very worth it. These M1A1 Abrams, 270 points. I killed 2 of them, and my Su-24 survived. So I lost 240. He lost 540 points. So T80U now getting into a good position on this right hand side. Spetsnaz GRU going to be trying to follow up and provide recon. Again, I do really like this side of the map for aesthetics. It looks really cool. Also the artillery flying over the top there. Very nice indeed. T64 BVK, the last one didn't have a fun time. This one trying to engage the M2A2 Bradley, gets taken out thanks to those tandem warheads. I'm also going to be losing the Mi-24P there. 2 enemy AA. Unfortunate, but the T-80UD is still driving forwards, and the T-80BVK on my side has managed to capture this sector, so that's worked out well. We did manage to get the first shot off here, thanks to their lack of recon down this road specifically. He did end up spotting it, because this Jeep, I believe it was, I know, it's like an actual recon unit, moved forwards and spotted us, but we managed to get rid of the Abrams there. We kind of played chicken a little bit, and I will come out on top. Second one, straight up clean kill, thanks to the T-80UD just being superior. Going to be taking out the M2A2 Bradley. Was a bit worried about a side shot here, especially since the missiles are coming in from the right hand side at the same time and we're open to a flank from the left. But Su-24 MP coming over. That's one of the new E-War planes. What they do is actually spot radar. A huge kill here from the Su-25s, taking out the Apache A-to-GM. That was massive. Also, F-111E comes over for the cluster strike. I was reversing my tanks, but I'm going to quickly drive forwards to avoid that. So we're getting some really good kills in here. F-16 playing with fire, manages to get away with it. Because all those Iglas do me dirty. But on the right hand side here, Spetsnaz GRU accompanying the T-80UD. Easy pickings on the M3A1 Bradley. At this range, the T-80UD, not really a very good chance it's going to miss. So those weaker units are always going to just end up one shot. Spetsnaz GRU moving over to the right hand side. T-80UD comes across and just clips the M1 Abrams. PVADs also saw there, so just going to move up the T-80UD to try and engage that. And all the while, we're just moving up more units to the left-hand side. Now, something I've been starting to do more recently, and you'll see is the case on this Ural, is I have that with that little red cube in the top left, or square, or cube, that says AS. That stands for auto supply. Now, auto supply is something that I didn't really used to use, but now I kind of like it on some maps, particularly maps where there's a lot less chance of being flanked. Auto supply is really, really nice. So anytime one of my sort of lower supply units runs out, I just click auto supply. They automatically drive back to the fob, and they'll drive forwards to a unit that needs supply. Now sometimes this can put them in danger, particularly if your units are like far forwards on the front line, like this Igla for example. A auto supply unit might try and run forwards here and resupply this, therefore putting itself in danger or getting killed on the way. But ultimately it's just really handy for not having to like click back to the base and give the Ural its commands to fill up again and then come back to the front. You can just avoid that little bit of micro. If you just click auto supply, it will just automatically drive down the road. It also works well on maps that have good reinforcing roads. So in this case, you know, we're in Teufelsmoor, and it's a big old town or city that has plenty of roads. So the supply can quite easily pick a way to go that is relatively safe, and you got all of the buildings for cover. So on this map, using auto supply is fantastic because generally speaking your supply is going to be in cover, and that's just something that I thought I would let you guys know. In the bottom right you can click it when you have like a unit selected, like a supply unit selected. You can then click auto supply in the bottom right. So T-80UD gonna fall back. You can see that I am fixing up a bunch of T-80Us here. We got a T-80UD and 2 T-80Us just hanging out, sharing their war stories before they head back into battle. We've also got reinforcements on the way, and you can see things are getting incredibly overwhelming now as the next tank column arrives with 2 T-80UDs and a T-80BVK. So what I was thinking was, I'm going to start pushing further to the left. Maybe we can go for the throat, hit Charlie, and capture that +3 point sector, or at least contest it. That would put us to a +7 on the game, and maybe allow us to finish things off. So that's what I was hoping for. You see, meanwhile, my Euro is being manually moved up to these igloos. I've decided to just try and get them reloaded, because I've got the Spetsnaz GRU here, and they are using the GSR trait to get the extra optics. I'm very certain that there's not too much here that could threaten the Euro. Unfortunately, there was something that was just out of line of sight that managed to pick that one off, but I did manage to at least deliver the missiles to the igloos in time. So Chaparral gets taken out by the T-80U. Cheeky air rifles almost get a couple hits onto the T-80U here, but their lure probably wouldn't have done too much damage regardless. Managed to take them out because they were low on health, and it was at this point I was like tempted to push across here to the left using just my tanks, because my tanks are already in position and ready to go. And sometimes in this game you can get impatient, and I see it particularly with newer players, and so I really wanted to point it out that it is important that sometimes you just wait. Sometimes you make sure that you're in the position you need, you have the combined arms forces to make significant pushes. So in this case I'm going to have to wait for my infantry to catch up. So I've got the Spetsnaz and the Sapari RPO moving ahead. I'm even using this Sapari here just to spot enemy infantry. And you see in this case we are going to spot a Stinger there, and that wasn't necessarily anything that was threatening to my tanks, but it could have been, right? And so moving forwards, the infantry first is super important in this case, because you can see just how blind the tanks are in this sort of situation. So Mi-8's now arriving to set up more supply further back in case I need it. Some new Sapari on the way on the left hand side here to join these forces. And yeah, it's just a matter of time until we make the next push. Unfortunately, Mi-24K finally going to go down to the enemy manpads and the Chaparral. But with the Sapari arriving, getting more confident to push up once again. T-80UD automatically smoking when it came under attack from a HGM there. The way to make them auto smoke, by the way, is by changing the rules of engagement to defensive. So there's like an out of range reaction that you can set up in the options, and if you set it to defensive, what will happen is if a unit is being engaged by a unit that is not in its range, it will smoke, and it's really, really handy. Or it will just like retreat. So it's useful for your like AA and stuff as well. If it starts coming under fire, it will just automatically try and run away. And as you can see, plenty of infantry trying to come up here, and with the help of the Sapari, I am managing to spot those before they cause any issues to my tanks. We're able to use the BTR-60s to provide fire support onto these high rises. TOW 2 is definitely a pretty big threat. You can see that it hit my T-80UD here and did end up bailing it out, so I'm really hoping to stop that completing the kill. T-80U on this side also in trouble, as it was engaged by the M1A1HA at the same time as the TOW 2, but I'm managing to get that back into cover, and you'll see that that is reversing its way, or not reversing, fast moving its way towards the Mi-8s at the back here to get themselves fixed up once again. The M1A1HA, big problem for my T-80UDs potentially, so just going to be committing the Su-24 with the laser guided bomb to take that out. The PVADs here not taken out in time to save the Su-24. The Su-24 is such a slow and lumbering aircraft that the PVADs had plenty of time on target, and the IHawk wasn't killed in time to stop it firing its missiles. But a nice counter coming in now as Sun Tzu invests in these 4 AH-1F Cobras. I was trying to get the Strelitz-10Ms into position as soon as possible, but you can see I gave the fast move orders way too far up, and that's just a straight up mistake on my part, as the Strelitz-10Ms, as they try and come across, are going to get sniped by these M1A1s, and I don't have my Iglas nearby either, because all of my Iglas were on the right hand side, which slowly started to get picked off. You can see across the front though, things are going pretty well, but alas, things are coming to a close as there is only 20 seconds left on the clock. F111E coming in again with the cluster, does manage to do quite a bit of damage to the T-80UD, but the double MiG coming across, shooting down 2 of the AH-1F Cobras. The other 2 are going to retreat, and that's going to be it for the enemy, as the +4 was more than enough to finish this game quickly. And there you have it. A strong and nice combined arms push through the town there. Like Teufelsmoor, it's not really a map that suits armor play, but the way that I built the 119th to make sure that I have the close range infantry to support the heavy tanks was super important in this case. Also, it was kind of unfortunate for my opponents because they kept investing into the M1A1 when ideally, first of all, they should have been investing into the M1A1 HAs and then built a force around that to keep them alive, because it gave me such a huge advantage. Like the T-80UD versus the M1A1, you can see how quickly the T-80UDs can just slice through them, and for a less experienced player, it's going to be difficult to micro and make sure you get off the smoke in time and so on, which is another reason that you should probably turn on the defensive rules of engagement. So yeah, anyway, hopefully this was a jammed pack full of tips. I tried to include as much as possible. And yeah, I just thought this game was kind of nice and instructive and gave me an opportunity to talk about quite a lot of things. So yeah, and it was also a pretty clean game. It showed off nice combined arms tactics using the T-80UDs, which really carried us to victory in this one. That's it for now. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.